Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I'm well aware of your family's commitment to public service, so it makes it more difficult, in a sense, but to ask these questions. But I honestly feel that that the conduct of yourself and Mr. Paulson were not consistently on the side of the American taxpayer, and I'll explain why. I'll give you two examples. We had the situation with Bear Stearns. The circumstances are the same. The world is on the brink. We got a disaster. We're worried about the whole system melted down. With your support, Mr. Paulson, Mr. Bernanke, we forced Bear Stearns shareholders from a position, I think that was a high of $172 a share in January. We forced them down to $2 a share because the American taxpayer money was in the bailout. And that was something that was supported by the Fed, by the Treasury, because we felt that because the taxpayer was bailing them out, that the shareholders of Bear Stearns should not be held harmless. Now, you have a different situation here, slightly different. A number of weeks later where we have AIG going under. And these are credit default swaps. So the money going into AIG is going right out to the counterparties. This is a pass-through. And the folks on the other side are Goldman Sachs. Largely, that's a principal beneficiary of all this. And we don't negotiate a nickel, not a cent, off of what they're getting. You're in the same position. You're supposed to be negotiating on behalf of the American people. Now, you're saying, oh, the regulations were different. Let me tell you something. We were changing the rules and regulations every single day. We were taking action, the Fed, under 13.3, under extraordinary circumstances. You had every opportunity to weigh in on behalf of the American people and make these people take a new deal, make them take a haircut. You scalped the folks on Bear Stearns. 2 cents on a dollar they got. 2 cents on a dollar. The folks at Goldman Sachs got 100 cents on a dollar. And that is just unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. You had the opportunity, and, you know, I just think it was a terrible decision on your part, and also on Mr. Paulson's part, and he's up later, and we'll talk to him. But how do you expect to look, and the thing about changing over to the Obama administration, you get the same people who are relying on you. The American taxpayer, when you're in one job, and the American taxpayer is relying on the other job. I don't see a conflict. I really don't. You could have done the right thing by those people, by the American taxpayer, because their money was being put into this deal. And it just stinks to the high heaven what happened here. And I don't like the obfuscation. And to top it all off, the disclosure was not there. The disclosure was not there at the proper time to tell the American people and tell this Congress what was going on. And that is just inexcusable. And it makes me doubt. It makes me doubt your commitment to the American people. It makes me doubt Mr. Paulson's commitment to the American people. And I think the commitment to Goldman Sachs trumped the responsibility that our officials had to the American people.
Congressman, I respect your opinion. I know you hold those opinions strongly, but I completely disagree. The American taxpayer would not have been better off if the government had made it possible for equity holders and Bear Stearns to get more money. The American taxpayer would not have been better off if we had let AIG default. None of us did anything out of any concern.
There's a difference between giving them 100 cents on a dollar and letting them default. This was a new game. You were creating new facilities every week to help folks.
We were, because
we were letting people go to the discount window that never had an opportunity to do that. We were changing the rules day by day, and we had the banks at a position where we could have exercised a lot of leverage, and you chose not to do it. You chose not to do it.
Right, I disagree with you.
And it doesn't mean we have to pay them 100 cents on the dollar or we let them fail. There are increments here, and we never use that leverage.
Not in this case.
In this case, exactly.
Not
under
in this
13.3, we could have taken different steps than we took here.
13.3 had nothing to do with this in this particular case. What 13.3 was, and this is important for people to understand, 13.3 was authority given to the Federal Reserve to protect the financial system from broad-based runs. It gave us the authority only to lend against collateral to make sure that firms that were solvent could fund. We did that because of the catastrophic damage caused by decades of previous financial crises. We used that authority because we thought there was no other choice.
Look,
and we used that authority appropriately.
Let me just say, I'm reclaiming my time.
Gentlemen,
when Hank Paulson pulled 9 banks into a room and said, "You're taking bailout money," that was extraordinary action. Okay?
Gentleman's time has expired. I must.
He could have done the same thing, negotiating a better rate on behalf of the American taxpayer. I yield back.
If it would have been possible, we would have done it.
Yeah.
Why would I want to be sitting here before you today, having to defend actions that look like they could have been avoided? There is nobody who was part of that decision that would not have done that if it would have been possible. I try to be as careful as I can in explaining the reasons why it was not possible, but it comes down to this basic tragic choice. If you are prepared to default, you can impose haircuts. If you can't accept the consequences of default, you do not have any leverage. It would have been vastly more expensive to the American taxpayer. It would have been much more damaging to people you and I care about, people you and I wake up every day worrying about, if we had let that firm fail. There was no choice between default and the restructuring of those contracts, and they left the taxpayer
better off. There was no
shared
sacrifice, no shared sacrifice for Goldman Sachs and the American people.
But a gentleman from Massachusetts yield.